Okay, turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. 7, 8. Happy birthday to you. Wait, yo, hey!
This leap year, I turned 28 on February 28th, which means it was my golden birthday in both form and function, in ways both created and inherent. A birthday doesn't have to be a prompt to reflect. Sometimes a year isn't enough time to see the changes that I'm making in my life compacted. Some ages have been pivotal in my growth, and some just spun me around. Arriving here at 28, I wasn't sure that I'd have any hidden revelations to share as I usually do. During my Saturn return, I didn't know if I'd found my deeper well, which isn't to say I didn't gain anything from this year, but it is to say that 27 didn't stick out to me as much as 24 or 25 or 26 did. But with the excuse of a new year, my renewal, I took the opportunity to find who I've been at 27 so that I can really declare myself a year older. And a surprising amount came up. So what themes have I met at this age? What is it that's been scribbled on the pages of my 27-year-old calendar before I flip to a fresh one? I'm here to release it. This is what's different about being 28. First off, I've newly realized a crush as a manifestation of traits that I desire. I am so often cut off at the knees by yearning. It's true. I'm not ruled by logic. I'm ruled by my lack of reliable emotional regulation. I actually don't feel attraction that often, but when I do, it pulls me towards them entranced. That's called limerence, baby. If I had to explain it to non-limerent peoples, I'd say it's like I'm on one of those never-ending airport walkways, heading towards my crush's gate. But I'm not one of those people that just stands there patiently with their suitcase, letting people pass by. I'm running down it at 15 miles an hour, clumsily, with my luggage banging around the rails. And when our romantic connection comes to an end and my little trip is canceled, I stumble off the conveyor belt and I struggle to orient myself to what it's like to walk back on the unmoving static carpet again. I don't adjust well. I'll fail to resist checking up every hour on what flights are now boarding at my crush's counter. I'll unsuccessfully try to convince myself that my crush's terminal was actually ugly all along and didn't even have a Sprinkles cupcake ATM in it anyway. But after a string of delayed departures out of that place of longing, there's only one way out, I've found, and it's not through baggage claim. To arrive fully healed, I must recognize that even if I can't stand next to my crush anymore, is there a way I can stand up the spirit of my attraction to them within myself? Like, what qualities did they represent to me? How can I become representative of those attributes? And I mean, if their performing was what I admired, let me get on stage at an open mic for the first time. If their outspokenness drew me in, I can draw that same integrity of thought and authenticity out of myself. I can pay myself the attention I've been spending on them. Did I want them because I felt lacking comparatively? How much of desire is scarcity? Second, at 28, I know that if I make something out to be a big deal, those around me will then treat it like it's a big deal. Case in point was one time when I walked 25 minutes to a holiday party, and as the gathering was winding down, snow started to fall outside, which was very beautiful, but I was unprepared. And so I begged an old coworker to drop me off because she was driving home and I lived on the way. It was a real please, please, please let me get what I want this time kind of begging. And I guess I ended up treating it like such a burden that she responded with something like, "Oh, well, I would have done it anyway, but now that you've put it that way, it feels like such a heavy ask," or something to that effect. And the point in that case got real clear at that moment. How I choose to frame and ask a situation, an event, influences how someone will receive it. Because in my head, I was bowing in gratitude and humility to her, but she processed it as something really grave or irksome. I've reached a greater point of clarity at 28 of how I've shaped others' perceptions in plenty of other contexts too. If I paint my latest YouTube video as a total flop, then people are going to be hard-pressed to see what's on the canvas as anything but. I need to let them color inside the lines of what I've drawn out before I go ahead and do it for them. To illustrate this a different way, I've started to resist qualifying things before I do them, whether that be performances, presentations, less of all of that. I don't even want to say my hair is greasy when I pull up somewhere because people might not even be able to tell. The audience, my friends, strangers, they, in all of these cases, might not have even noticed what my overly apologetic eye has. And I muddy the waters and pollute the purity of their point of view by prefacing my merit so much.
Third up, good people beget good people. I can track 5 good people I am now friends with by getting to know one good person here in Seattle.
A delightful daisy chain of companionship. At 28, I know to follow the good ones down and not let them go. They'll inevitably lead me to more.
Fourth up, 28 is about setting my own intentions for trips, experiences, etc., so that I don't end up adopting the prevailing expectations of those holidays, parties, vacations, whatnot. I'm able to more explicitly value my transitions into new environments by naming how I'd like to show up there or what I'm hoping to get out of it.
On the flimsy airplane tray table, you can find me scribbling out the real purpose of my upcoming presence there, not the one implicitly stated. 4th of July isn't for celebrating this dysfunctional country, it's for convening together in the sun on a day where work isn't expected. New Year's isn't for proving I attended the most sequin-adorned party in the Greater Bay Area. It's for burning down the year in front of a campfire with people I know I'll want to find myself next to at 12:01 for years to come. Pulling directly from my journal entries of intentions past in no particular order, we have the intention to find stolen moments with each guest there, or to pillow talk with my bedmate, or to take quiet solo time as I need it, or to dance, or to focus on quality time with my family, to take what's helpful and leave the rest, to eat mindfully, to go gentle on output. Those were all bespoke to whatever I had coming up, but no one else is allowed to determine what I get out of my time but me. And returning to that list of previously held intentions months later, I can see so clearly how all of them manifested in their respective moments, because I had it mapped in there the whole time. 5th, the price is up on the value of trust at 28. I spend so much time speculating about what friends of friends think of me, what new followers think of me, what my crushes think of me. 28 years is apparently not enough to heal me of this predilection for hypothesizing about my public perception, but it is enough to discover a small immunity I have to it, and that's through trust. The more trust that I build with somebody, the more defense I have against my fear of being misunderstood by them. I get to lose my self-consciousness when I fully place my trust in someone else. I no longer worry about my words being twisted unfairly or opinions of mine being received in bad faith. This release of inhibition through trust allows me to reveal more of myself without risk. The conversational places I can get to with a trusted friend are off the map of what's possible for somebody I'm unsure of or feel judged by. In an era of rage baiting and snark pages and callouts, it's so easy to internalize a paranoia of representing yourself incorrectly. To be able to sink into a discussion with depth and nuance and assurance is a relief. Trust to me now means the faith someone has in who I've been and who I am. 6th, more than just recognizing what my intuition's telling me, at 28, I actively step towards it. I finally move the glass of water before I kick it over. I go on that walk while the sun is out. I take care of that creative craft now while I'm still interested in it. I avoid so much regret by being more married to my intuition. 7th,
I've come to terms with my friendship selectivity at 28. I am someone who practices a lot of discernment in the curation of my social life, and the times that I've gone against that instinct at 21 or 22 or 23 did not bring me any closer to a community I'd want to belong to. But still, up until this point, I've felt a resistance to this trait of mine, my pickiness. I don't want any reputation of elitism or condescension, because actually I'm a philanthrope. Not in the sense that I participate in the nonprofit industrial complex, but in the way that it's the opposite of the word misanthrope. Like, I love people. I love talking to the stranger that's silently holding a tambourine at the bus stop and learning how a cashier is going to spend the rest of their day after their shift and overhearing 2 people queening out together on the sidewalk. Sometimes I feel like I can't afford to be choosy in who I spend time with because my extroversion seems to allow for like an unlimited amount of weekly connection. But if I can't afford to be discerning, I'll pay for it with credit because it's worth it. Turns out 28 years is more than enough time for me to determine what I value in fellowship and what certainly won't further me. I'd rather further my commitment to the ones that get me and get it and release those that are meant for someone else. I don't have to let everyone into my 28-year-old life, and I'm accepting when I don't want to going forward. My relationships are my life's work, so why shouldn't I seek meaning and fulfillment over frustration or indifference? I don't want friendship to turn into a job I get tired of, or worse, 40 hours a week I dread. My vocation of friend is one of my most treasured titles and positions held, and the job description just isn't going to accommodate everyone.
Eighth is about distorted thinking, which I very frequently suffer from. And at 28, I've finally learned that I can't always prevent it, but I have learned to check for evidence to back up my unhelpful thoughts first. If I'm avidly convincing myself that one of my dearest friends actually thinks I'm annoying and doesn't care much about me, no more squashing that thought outright. I double down on it now. Let's find the data that backs up my claim. Oh, there isn't any? It's just one text that they didn't respond to that I'm interpreting wildly? Cool. Your hypothesis sucks, dude. Debunked. There is no annotation to a conclusive study of their carelessness. There's no bibliography of references of my annoyingness. There's just a harebrained, fear-filled thought poorly written in chicken scratch.
I always hated citing my sources anyway in school, so it's kind of great when I discover that I don't have any for my distorted thinking, and I can throw the whole paper out.
And number 9. 28 is for modeling behavior that I want to see around me. Let me ask you this. What's sexier than being a leader? Being a model. I'm not in charge. I'm not ahead of anyone. I'm simply visible and inviting others to repeat after me should they so choose. I could passively wait for someone to showcase what I've been looking for, or I could show up for myself. If I want my friends to invite me over for dinner more often, I just go ahead and model that want and invite them over. If I want it to be more regular to have body hair as a woman, I grow my body hair out. I notice this a lot too with masking culture. If no one in the space is wearing a mask, it takes conscious independence to wear mine. But once I see one other person masking, that solidarity is really encouraging. At this age, I take the initiative and make something more available in the minds of those around me by just doing it in front of them. In a way, being a role model was the original micro-influencing. And I think we should get back to that. This year felt like taking a big breath, and now I am ready to fully exhale into 28. The first week of this age, I read a quote from the poet Diane Ackerman, where she said, "I don't want to get to the end of my life and figure out I've lived the length of it. I want to have lived the width as well."
And that's what these aging up videos capture for me, width. 27 stretched out to
those 9 lessons. I want to know what you've pulled out of the age you're at and what new dimensions you're hoping to find in the next one. So leave me a note below if you'd like to celebrate my belated birthday with me. A subscription to my channel would be an even bigger gift, and a thumbs up is like confetti for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time, and Katherout.